All right, so this is an area that I think is very unique, especially when you're looking at building distributed teams. And I want to use this example because it was something that I was actually discussing with my group in Colombia last week. Is anyone familiar with the famous Avianca crash that happened, about 15, 20 years ago in JFK? Okay. Who's actually read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? All right. So in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, he talks about this story about Avianca. It's a Colombian airline. They were flying, I think, from Bogota to JFK in New York. And the crash happened not because of a malfunction or any issue with the plane. It was purely because there were two Colombian pilots, and there was a reputation for air traffic control in JFK to be a bit aggressive. They were running out of gas. And when you listen to the flight recorder, the Colombian pilots were saying, hey, we're looking to land, and by the way, we're running out of gas. And he just said it like that. He wasn't saying, hey, we have an emergency, we're running out of gas. And then air traffic control said, okay, you're slated to be 10th or 12th in line. They said the same thing again. Oh yeah, I think we're running out of gas, and until it was too late, and of course they crashed. And it goes back to culture. Colombians in general, they defer a lot to authority. And typical Americans, for the most part, when they sense an emergency, they're going to say, hey, there's an emergency. Like, I'm running out of gas. You need to land me before all these other planes. But because these pilots did not want to rock the boat or make these air traffic controllers mad, they said it, but they didn't say it in a way that was urgent, which unfortunately led to the deaths of probably, I think, a little over 180 people. When you think about it, it goes back to cultures that are built on democracy and total authoritarian areas. When you think and you look at an economist report that went out about a year ago, the top 3 most authoritarian countries are African. And if you actually expand that list to about 20 or 25, you probably find about 10 of those countries ranging from Africa. There's a culture there where I'm sure you all have that uncle or that grandfather that says something, and he says the sky's black, but you don't want to tell him he's wrong, and you say, yep, the sky's black. It's the same thing in Nigeria, but even worse. You can be the sharpest person in the world, and if you have a boss that doesn't know anything, you won't say anything because you don't want to disrespect that person. And this is something that we continue to struggle with at ChatDesk, and we continue to figure out ways that we can get people to speak up and really feel like they're part of the team and that they can voice their opinions, even if I'm wrong. So how does that work with the values of ChatDesk? So these are the 4 ChatDesk values: always learning, honesty and transparency, empathy, and hard work. I'll quickly walk you through how we thought through some ways to drive culture within this distributed team. We're still a work in progress. Some of these things are still a struggle, but hopefully I'll be able to show some things that can resonate. So always learning, right? The big takeaway for us is we have to force people, literally force people to step up. What does that mean? So one thing that I do a lot, especially with new employees, is I ghost. And I don't recommend ghosting in general for people, especially men, just saying that. But I ghost a lot in Nigeria. And what I tell them is very simple. I'm like, hey, welcome to the team. By the way, I want you to feel free to message me whenever, whether it's in the morning, whether it's on weekends. And if I owe you something and I don't get back to you by a certain period of time, whether it's an hour or 2, you have permission to ping me, to call me. And some people will not do it because they're afraid that, oh, I'm the boss, I'll get mad if you call. And what we do is we tie it to their performance. We say, hey, you didn't send an X amount of emails out. What happened? Oh, you didn't respond to that thing. I said, did you call me back? Did you send me a message? They said, no. I said, well, sorry, right? You have to force your team, especially on the continent, to follow through and not feel as if they're bugging you, that you're being mean, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're setting them up for success and that they're voicing their opinions all the time. If you don't have an open community and system where people can do that, it's just going to be very tough. Providing small step-up opportunities. one thing we do at our company is whenever we have check-ins, I don't lead the check-ins. Even though it's a check-in for my benefit, I actually tell them, I want you to put together a quick agenda, and you lead it. And I will ask questions when I need to ask questions. But we've seen what that's done is it's allowed people to take on leadership roles where they feel now that they can speak up, that they own what they're doing. And it's not just me instructing them and pointing my finger at them. Because unfortunately, a lot of people in sub-Saharan Africa specifically, they've been used to people pointing and telling them, you need to do this, and you just do it, right? The last one, and this is something that we're really, really proud of, is identifying role changes and encouraging that, right? So this is a picture of Fidel. She's one of our sales development reps. She studied computer science in school, but she's never been a software engineer. She's never been a developer. She's just never had that opportunity. And I had a performance review with her last year, and I asked her and I pushed her. I said, hey, Fidel, I saw you spending some time with one of the developers. Tell me a bit about that. And she said, well, a dream of mine would be to become a software engineer at ChatDesk. So I said, okay, well, let's talk about how we can make that happen. So you have tasks every day of the week. Let's say you work Monday through Thursday. We give you Friday to fully focus on learning up on code. We're giving you assignments to continue to build your skills. And then we're setting up time where you're sitting down with the engineering team. And later this year, God willing, she will become a software engineer at ChatDesk. So this is something that we always want to focus on, is identify not only your current role today, but what could be your role in the future. And I tell this to people all the time, even here in the States. If you come in and you leave ChatDesk a year from now, 2 years from now, and it's the only thing that you can do is do sales at the end of your time at ChatDesk, I failed you as a leader. It's always focusing on people that could push you and find other areas to do. Honesty and transparency, I think that's something that's pretty self-explanatory. We always continue to encourage, discussing recent mistakes, even myself. And this is something I continue to do. I always tell my team mistakes that we've made as a leadership team, things I've done personally, because I want to foster a community where they feel open enough to share that with us. And then I think last piece is like empathy. The same way you're thinking about building a team here in the States should be the same way here. And trust goes both ways. Like if you're not putting together the resources to develop your team, finding an HR lead that can manage and develop your team while you're on ground. Making sure that you're managing brain drain. Brain drain on the continent is such a huge issue now. We've lost 3 of our most senior engineers to companies in Europe because they can just pay them more. And it's a testament, right, to the quality of our developers, but how do we actually address that? So what we've done is we actually embraced it. And we said, you know what, if you want to leave for Europe in 2 years, we're going to set up a program where we're going to give you mentorship with people from our network. We're going to help you go through the application process if you want to go back to school. And we're going to make sure you're successful. So being upfront with them around, well, hey, we want to make sure that you accomplish your goals. So you don't have to worry about hiding this from us, and now it's impacting your performance. Time zones. Literally today, I'm on a call with the team. It's 12 p.m. in New York. It's 5 p.m. in Nigeria. It's 11 a.m. in Colombia. How do we fix this, right? How do we solve that? Early mornings. If you're not willing to wake up early and to find time with your team, it's just going to be very tough to be sustainable, right? And the reason why is if I have a call with someone and it's already 4 p.m. and I know that they've made a mistake or they haven't done something, the day is gone. So making sure that you're up early, setting time-based deadlines so that people know exactly what they need to work on and when. And then more importantly, finding time to meet regularly in person. I know this is tough, especially if you're a bootstrap, but you have to find those times to connect with them. These are a few communication tools and hacks. One that I would pick up on is, WhatsApp is your friend, especially now that you can do, multiple contexts on there. I think a lot of people are tied to Slack here. Slack is picking up on the continent, but WhatsApp is just a great way for a lot of people who are always on the run to just be in the loop of what's happening.